Truluck, you know, in fairness, it's one thing you got to beat one guy, but sometimes you got to beat the whole team. Watch this. You get a good move to the outside. Truluck gets a little hands up in the face. Now he thinks he's open. He's got a chance, and then Big Dan Payne says, no, not today. Dan Payne takes him out of there.
If you're trying to go around Dan Payne, you better bring your lunch if you're trying to walk around him.
That's cab fare.
It takes a while. Nora again.
Once again, number 28, Mark Nora.
You know, whether it's Mark Nora running the football or Robert Drummond, right now that offensive line is creating a bubble. What I mean by that is that there's a soft spot. They're creating a little gap, a bubble in the line, and that's what you try and do. Get a good block at the point of attack by that offensive line, create a little bit of room for your running back, and then let him do something in the open field. And they're really reestablishing the line of scrimmage right now into the Saskatchewan defense.
Robert Drummond hauled the mail in the first half, and Allen has used Mark Nora successfully in the second. And again, it's Nora.
Well, and you know, it's important to emphasize that this is an O-line that's been slapped together because of injuries. We talked about it, but, you know, Hatfield is in the game. We talked about that. Steve Harden.
Little experience on that line.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even with some changes up front.
And that's what we're talking about. I mean, look at this. 32 years in age, 41 years combined experience, and they're playing against a team. You take Willie Pless out of those 22 years of experience, you don't have much.
Allen stands in. End zone toss. He's got the touchdown. One more for Damon Allen. Rocky Henry this time. And that pass was right on the money. His first catch of the night goes for a touchdown.
Damon Allen's having some fun out there. That was a ball on the money. Good time by the offensive line. Again, they're controlling the line of scrimmage, and when you do that, you know what? You can see passing lanes like that. Look at this football. Out and over where only Rocky Henry can do it. You can't cover any better than that. That was Eric Sutton, and you can't be in a better position than Eric Sutton was in, but the ball was perfect.
Rocky Henry has his first CFL touchdown, or his first catch of the night, his second CFL touchdown. And the Lions extend their lead. It's 25-7. The Riders had better start the comeback soon on Adidas Friday night. Rocky Henry has a touchdown, and the BC Lions have a 25-7 advantage.
Well, they're getting great help from their offensive line. Damon Allen had great passing lane there, and Jamie Terrace, who has moved over to center, is one of the reasons. Here he is right at center. Now, that's a position that he hasn't played. He's up against Travis Smith. Now, you know what the weight difference between those two guys are? Travis Smith is 217 pounds. Jamie Terrace weighs 260. There was no shot that Smith was getting in that backfield. And that's what the result of good blocking up front. That's what it'll give you. You'll see the scoreboard lights flash one more time if you can get big blocks up front like Jamie Terrace had right there.
Well, the Riders obviously looking for some speed up front, but they're giving away a lot to a veteran and large offensive line. Big scramble down there in the kickoff, and it rolls out of bounds.
Well, that ball is live, but
they got the ball.
You know what? You just have to be the last guy to touch it going out of bounds. And Mike Saunders is saying it's the Riders who touched it last. That ball is live on a kickoff after it covers 10 yards. And yet they're going to overrule the initial call. One of those officials initially called that BC football. But they've walked in now and overruled. I believe Dave Ewell just stepped in and said, no, I saw that one. Here's a look at it. Now, the ball, it's just the last team that touches it as it goes out of bounds. It's still in bounds. Then it squirts out. Now, watch this.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's Saskatchewan football. Now, initially, it was ruled BC ball. But then Dave Ewell came over and overruled the call and gave it back to Saskatchewan, and it was the right call.
Overruled. Saskatchewan gets a break. Good fake. Reggie Slack on first down. Far side, wide open. And there should be another first down.
There's
Don Narcisse.
There's two veterans battling it out over there, John. I mean, you got Don Narcisse, great veteran of 13 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's approaching some big numbers up against Eric Carter, one of the best cover guys in the league. And you think of the numbers that Narcisse is putting together. 201 consecutive games with at least one catch in 13 seasons.
Extended it tonight on the very first play of the game.
The very first play, and you know that bothers Eric Carter, who's over on the other side. Even if it's just one catch, he's a competitor.
Slack trying to get the Riders rolling. There's another first down. Eric Gulliford, 84, and Lewis played it out.
I love it.
Lewis.
Yeah, Eric Gulliford saying, that's all you got? Come on. You know, and Bo Lewis put a pretty good shoulder into Gulliford. You know, the pass was right in there. You're like, look at this pass, not much room. Watch the hit that Bo Lewis puts on. Foul, little shot right there to the and Gulliford jumps up and he said, that's all you got? That's all you got? Come on. Bo Lewis said, all right, let's line up one more time.
Riders keep the drive rolling. The Lion 48, and just when there was a little bit of flow to this, another penalty marker comes down. Did the Lions jump first?
Well, unless Antonio Armstrong saw something that I didn't, he was wrong.
Well, that's good. Nice observation.
Offside, BC number 50.
Yeah. You know, you never know. I mean, maybe he saw somewhere down in the line someone move their hand or their pinky or something, move it a little bit, and he jumped offside. I don't think so. Antonio Armstrong just jumped offside.
Not many of those calls have gone in Saskatchewan's favor here tonight. Still 3:43 to go in the third quarter. The Riders really have to score here now, get some points on the board, and salvage something from this. Looked like a collision on the exchange, but Saunders takes out. Nice run down to the 25. And Saunders is pumped after an 18-yard game.
He's really pumped, and he's having a great game. He really is. When he's been asked to carry the football, he's done a nice job with it. He had the one fumble early, but other than that play, Mike Saunders is doing his part.
9 carries, 87 yards for Saunders. Setting Saskatchewan up at the 25. They have to punch it in the end zone here, Glenn.
They need a major, no question.
Slack on first down, can't find a target, and put it right into the hands of a BC defender at the 5-yard line. Raphael Robinson had a big interception last week. He's still going, and the Roughriders are in deep trouble now. They're getting booed right out of their home ballpark.
Oh, boy.
You know, it's not the interception. It's following the play and letting Robinson run wild through an entire team for 80 yards.
Well, it was a ball that Reggie Slack should never have thrown. He forced his football, trying to make something happen, but he knows better. Reggie Slack has been around long enough to know that he does not have to throw this football. He gets in trouble, he gets up in the line of scrimmage, just take the loss. Take the loss right there, or try and run with it if you can. Look, there's no one around. Don Narcisse stops. He just lets that one go. Raphael Robinson, thank you very much. And now he's got everybody to one side of the field, gets a couple of blocks, and then it's just one-on-one on a couple of offensive linemen, and they're not going to catch him. Eric Carter did a nice job of getting out in front and getting a block for him.
He's riding shotgun number 2 there, right?
Yeah, he gets Mike Saunders, and then he gets Sean Daniels, and all of a sudden a huge turnaround. BC Lions are right back in scoring position after 4 Saskatchewan turnovers.
But the last 4 drives by Saskatchewan have ended in fumbles or interceptions. 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions.
He knows
Slack has fired a couple that he
look,
shouldn't have, and you were suggesting that a second ago.
A picture tells 1,000 words right there with Reggie Slack and Cal Murphy. I mean, you can just see the disgust right there, and then now look this. I mean, he knows you don't have to go up to Reggie Slack right now if you're his teammate. You don't have to say a word to Reggie Slack. He knows he made a mistake, a crucial mistake.
Mike Saunders was chasing Robinson.
Well, that was
might be winded or slightly shaken up here.
It was a long play for Mike Saunders. I mean, he had run a couple of draw plays in the drive, had put together, you know, some pretty good runs, then was blocking on the interception, then had to chase down Raphael Robinson, so he's just trying to catch his wind.
Raphael Robinson, a 32-yard interception return to preserve a victory for BC last week. So he's having a nice start to his season. Next week, We're on the road again. Doubleheader Thursday. We'll be in Montreal for the Stampeders and the Alouettes. That should be pretty good ball game. And then Winnipeg at British Columbia on Thursday night. So a doubleheader on CFL Live next Thursday here on TSN.
Well, there's a good crowd here, but they don't have a whole lot to cheer about right now.
Well, and this football community is getting a little impatient. There's no question about that. Nice smooth play on the end around to Eddie Brown. And Allen made it look easy. Douglas Kraft over to make the tackle. Smooth looking play. It only netted about 4 yards, but
it's one of those plays that you put in there for a couple of reasons. One, you may surprise the defense and get a big gain out of it, but if you don't, you know that it's on the game film forever. So right now, next week, the BC Lions get ready to play. The team they're playing against will look at that film and say, oh, they had this little reverse. Now we got to prepare for that thing too.
Allen good on 12 of 19, 231 yards. Looking at 2nd and 6 here. Cunningham sliding out of the backfield. Nice move to turn it into a first down. Shannon Garrett didn't respond. He had an opportunity to make the tackle.
One of the questions for the BC Lions heading into this game, John, was could they get their stars, all this talent, to get their nose dirty, do things away from the football? Guys like Don Blair, Eddie Brown, Alfred Jackson back home in Vancouver, but just all their stars, would they do stuff away from the football? Well, on that last play, Don Blair picked up the safety blitz from Curtis Gallick and stopped him in his tracks. That's getting your nose dirty for the team.
Another Lion first down. Allen sidelines short of the first down when the catch was made by Jimmy Oliver. The Riders are arguing there was a fumble.
Yeah, they sure are. Newcomer over there is Mark Tate, and they're saying that the ball rolled off the back of Jimmy Oliver and it was batted out of bounds by Roughrider.
Sounds like a daycare center just before lunchtime.
Well, the meal they're serving up is possession of the football.
Yeah, it's a little pigskin being served right there.
Now they're going to have a conference on this one, and let's see if we can see what happened. Jimmy Oliver, the argument from Tate was that Oliver lost the football before he went out of bounds, and it was batted out of bounds by a Saskatchewan Roughrider. Here he is on the sideline. Now, it rolls up on his back. Was it hit out of bounds?
It's a question of it went off his
by
back.
Mark Tate, yeah.
Or if it went off Tate's hand. And apparently, it went off his back. First down indicated by referee Dave Ewell.
So what they're saying is Mark Tate batted the ball. It bounced off the back of Jimmy Oliver and then went out of bounds.
Oliver should have been pinned before he picked up 11 yards in the first down. He's getting grumpier by the moment.
It's going to be a long week for this team if they don't put together a pretty good fourth quarter.
First and goal to go outside the 5. Drummond can't turn the corner. Gary Rogers was there.
Yeah, and it was a good play by Gary Rogers because, you know, it's a normal tackle on a running play. But when you're down like this defense is down, it takes something special to be able to say, okay, I don't care where we are in the field or what the score is. I'm still going to come out and compete. And that's what Gary Rogers did. He's like the only veteran in that front 7 other than Willie Pless with 6 years of experience.
4 rookies really across the front when you count Arkel Trulak, who started last season but didn't play often. Another crack at it for Allen. Precision passing, another touchdown. Rocky Henry has 2. And Damon Allen is having a field day at Taylor Field.
Working on a little touchdown dance there in the end zone. Well, again, it was right over the middle, and they're working on Curtis Gallick. Curtis Gallick, number 25, you see him step, then he's going to drop, but he's too far to the field. He can't get over and help to the post pattern. You see he gets there too late. Eric Sutton played outside position, thinking he was going to get Curtis Gallick some help from the safety in the middle. Didn't get it in time.
Lou Pasaglia adds one more to this BC Lion rout of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 21 points off turnovers for the BC Lions, and they've got 32 on the board.
Yeah, that's the story right there. When you turn the ball over that many times, turns into points, you're going to see a lot of this. That scoreboard clock is going to be flashing all night. Damon Allen makes the right read. See how he looked off to his left, just enough to hold Curtis Gallick. Well, Rocky Henry's audition is turning out quite well tonight.
Jimmy Oliver's isn't bad either.
That's right.
And what are the BC Lions going to do to get all these receivers into their lineup?
Exactly. What are they going to do? And that's what will be on the table for Greg Mons when he returns to Vancouver after what looks like will be another win. His 8th in a row in the regular season. And now he's got to decide. I got Rocky Henry and Jimmy Oliver both playing great football. I've got Alfred Jackson and Rod Harris sitting at home healthy and ready to go.
And anxious.
And anxious to go. It's a tough decision.
Two pretty good receivers, veterans in Canadian football, in Harris and Jackson. Oliver and Henry are pretty raw, pretty new, but they've looked pretty good tonight.
And have all year, really.
Ready for the BC kickoff. It's short again. Riders will cover this one better this time. But the return is not spectacular.
Well, the
Kelly
pressure,
Lockbaum made the tackle.
the pressure mounts for this organization.
Al Ford, the general manager, has gone public saying if the Riders don't make the playoffs this year, they can have his job.
Well, the reason he said that was because there was criticism of the hiring of Cal Murphy. And you know, a lot of people thought that the game had passed Cal Murphy by. Now, that was sort of the feeling in the city. So just to give his new coach, the guy that he decided on, a vote of confidence, he stepped up to the plate and said, okay, here's the deal. We don't make the playoffs, I'll resign.
Last play of the third quarter. Another turnover likely here. Lions say they have the fumble by Reggie Slack, and that's what the officials indicate. And that just puts a little more pressure on the shoulders of Al Ford and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Lacoste has the football, number 58, turnover number 5, and the Riders are in deep, deep trouble at Taylor Field.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by 1-800-HI-IT'S-ME. It's the cheapest way to call. Collect.
Oh boy, things are getting ugly. The Lions, it's starting to look like a Saturday afternoon touch football game for Damon Allen and company. You know, we're almost through week 3 of the CFL now. Let's get some big picture perspective. Is this the best team in the league?
Well, I think it's close to being the best team in the league. As you said, it's a little bit early, but when you look at the way the Hamilton Ticats have faded, how the Calgary Stampeders are struggling in some respects, although they had a big win last night. But the BC Lions have great balance. They have multiple fronts on defense, and Damon Allen's making plays, and Robert Drummond's running hard. I like the BC Lions, but you can't discount the Montreal Alouettes. They're playing well too, James.
They are also perfect. I guess the worst news for the Saskatchewan Roughriders is BC gets better in the fourth quarter. Why?
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the BC Lions, and I agree with Glenn Suter's assessment. The physical mismatch on the line of scrimmage is going to be a dominant issue. Welcome to zone blocking. Well, you've heard about zone defense coverage. The BC Lions pick man for man. Big Mo kicks out his man. Dan Payne moves up to the linebacker level. Jamie Terrace cuts it off. It's man-on-man blocking. And then Mark Norris sees the seam, accelerates through the hole. One thing the BC Lions do is they have the nice combination of having really complicated plays, reverses to Jimmy Cunningham, the bootlegs with Damon Allen's, but they also play the fundamentals of football, the attack, one-on-one offensive lineman against defensive lineman very well. You need that combination, James.
So zone blocking, you just pick up the guy who's right in front of you.
That's exactly right. You pick up the first jersey you see in front of you, lock on with good leverage, and go.
So once again, the linemen deserve all the credit.
Of course.
What a shocker coming from Chris Schultz. Let's send you back to Taylor Field for fourth quarter action. The Green Riders in all sorts of trouble.
That's putting it rather mildly right now with a 32-7 on the scoreboard. Greg Mons having another wonderful evening and a great run as a head coach in Canadian football. Not many people thought he was the right selection last year in British Columbia when he took over the job. He lost a couple early, then won 6 in a row. He started off this season winning 2 straight, and he'll win his 3rd straight here tonight.
Well, you know what? We'll get back to Mons.
Nice play action fake by Damon Allen. Another touchdown toss, and just over the outstretched hands of Jimmy Oliver.
Just to get back to Greg Mons, you know, a lot of people that were criticizing the organization for hiring Greg Mons as the interim guy was the fact that he never had any head coaching experience. I mean, the last time he was a head coach was at Ventura College in California. But this is a guy from the old school. He's a motivator. He is a guy that worked as an assistant coach at Arizona State under Frank Kush. He worked as an assistant in Oklahoma under Bum and Wade Phillips. He has a lot of experience in a lot of different positions. He's also been in Toronto's organization evaluating talent. So his point was, do your homework before you criticize.
Dan Allen wrapped up. Well read by the Rider defense that time.
You know, and I think it's a good point. And I think what Greg Mons was trying to say back last year when he took over was, do your homework and judge me after we play a few games.
My understanding is that he lets all his assistants do their jobs.
That's
Joe Paupau, the offensive coordinator, really is running what's going out there for Damon Allen right now. And Mons is sitting there watching everything unfold, making the ultimate and final decisions, but easily is making his decisions for the secondary, and his coaches are working for him and coaching for him.
And there's Frank Smith, and he talks to each one of his assistants all the time, finds out what they're thinking. But you're right, he lets them coach.
And he lets Louis kick. This one he doesn't get away with. Now it's over to Lou Pasaglia, and they call it a dead ball as they bobbled it on the exchange. Khari Jones couldn't handle it. It was too hot. The Lions don't need any more points anyway. They're in comfortable. Over for Saskatchewan starting quarterback Reggie Slack. He's on the bench, and here's 5 of the reasons why. The last 5 possessions have been horrific for Saskatchewan.
All turnovers, John. And when you look at that fumble, couple picks in there, another fumble. And when you do that and you turn the ball over as many times as Reggie Slack has done, then that's when Cal Murphy says, that's it, I'm not cutting you any more slack.
That's the hook, and Slack is not being cut anymore right now. Steve Sarkisian is in at quarterback for Saskatchewan. And his first pass is picked out by Reggie Carthon. It bounced into Carthon's hands. And things aren't going well for the Saskatchewan offense or this Saskatchewan football team right now. Second interception of the night for 26.
Yeah, it's a tough night for Cal Murphy, no question. I mean, Sarkisian goes in, he makes the read, and he decides, you know, I just want to make something happen right out of the gate, and forces a football. I mean, Bo Lewis had a shot at that interception. He just dropped it. It bounced up in the air, and Reggie Carthon gets his second. And those screws are tightening down a little more on Al Ford and this whole organization.
Yeah, your old boss has to be worried a little bit right now, Al Ford. The display over the last 2 games for Saskatchewan. In game 1 against Calgary, the Riders were in it. They didn't come close, but they played better football. Last week, they were horrible in the second half. And they're not looking too crisp here tonight. Drummond again for lots more yardage.
Well, it's a team that, you're right, they went in a game in week 1 against Calgary, and they put together a pretty good effort. They really felt like when they watched the tape that the guys really played hard, although they lost. Last week, Cal Murphy, I mentioned earlier, said it was an embarrassment because not only did they make mistakes, they also showed a lack of effort. And when there's a lack of effort, then you're questioning a player's heart. Now it changes things, and it makes it very difficult for a head coach.
Nora this time trying the right side. Are you questioning the effort of the Roughriders here tonight?
Well,
I've seen it a couple of times. I thought on one of the interception returns.
I'm not necessarily. I mean, you have to really, it's tough to tell when you're watching a game live whether or not each guy is hustling on the backside or is everyone taking care of their responsibilities and doing the extra step. You have to see the tape to be able to evaluate that. I watched the tape from their last week's game, and that's why I could see that, and that's why their coaches were saying that there was a lack of effort. Now, when you turn the ball over as much as this offense has, it makes it tough on everybody, but...
2nd and 4 for Damon Allen, and the Lions. Rogers had it in his hands. It would have been a tough interception, but he did get at least one hand on it. And Allen grabs him by the face mask to say, well, he almost had that one.
Would have been his first one, right? It would have been his first one. Here he is over here, getting a little pressure from the outside, gets his hands up, almost makes it. the interception, like I mentioned, you thought I was jinxing Damon Allen early when I said he hadn't thrown one all year. He still hasn't. Only just.
Only just. And there was no call on that face masking.
Afterwards, when they were talking? No.
They didn't throw a flag on it. Blue Pasaglia missed his last one. This from 48, and he's missed it as well. Wide to the left. A little something to cheer about on the return by Eric Gulliford, but not enough. Riders begin at the 25-yard line. Pasaglia has missed a couple.
Welcome again to TSN tonight. We'll get you back to Adidas Friday Night Football in just a moment. The Blue Jays and Red Sox came into tonight's American League action tied in the wild card race. Let's